allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence. Please be seated. Any citizen concerns not on the agenda?
Ed Gilliland, HR. We did have a.
Right in the mic.
Yes, sir. We've been reviewing policies and ensuring that we have the appropriate coverage for different lines of things. We did find that we do have a little bit of a hole. At least I feel it's a hole, and we're going to bring some pricing information back to you next week. We are concerned about coverage in the event of employee theft, forgery or alteration of checks, computer crime, and theft either on premises or in transit with the money. So this is an area of concern that we found, and we'd like to bring that back and address it next week. That would be okay with the board.
Next week?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. State your name and your address.
Rick Benson, Nathan, Iowa. And we received, all of us back here received a letter of a ditch tax that was increased by 200%. And I was wondering if the supervisors approved that, or is there a board on ditch tax in WoodburyCounty Township, or what is going on?
You need to speak to the county assessor. Her name is Julie Connolly. Dennis.
Dennis Butler. Is this a drainage tax? And what tax or what drainage ditch?
Wolf Creek.
Okay, Upper Wolf Creek. I believe that possibly is one under the Board of Supervisors as trustees, but the recommendation does come back from our county engineer. So I think that needs to be addressed probably with Mark Nair.
Speak of the devil.
Is the board trustees for the Upper Wolf Creek?
Yes, they are.
We need you, please. You came at the right time. He'll help you.
All right.
I assume all of you got one? Oh, yeah. They received a 200% increase in the drainage district.
Yep, we had extensive.
Please, microphone.
Mark Nair, county engineer. We talked about this when we passed the levies this year. The total levy for the Upper Wolf Creek was $51,000. This was to repair flood damage that occurred in 2014 in the district. We had trees that had been cut and fallen off the bank from upstream, plugged an area in, I can't remember the name of the field, or the name of the field owner, but it was just upstream of our Upper Wolf Creek Bridge on D54. We had tree removals, repair to riprap, and excavation that was brought in to replace all of the dirt that washed out in the course of the flood damage. It was reported to us by Bernard Hare in January, which was too late to make any claims for FEMA or anything at that point because we couldn't pinpoint it to an individual stream event. But the work did need to be done, and the field repaired to prevent the stream from changing its channel in that area. Drainage issues were warranted to pay, or were issued to pay the contractor who did the work. We had quotation from L.A. Carlson who did the work, and we had submitted to 2 other contractors who were non-responsive on the bid for the work, and it's now time to pay for that. We've had a number of calls from landowners out there, and
Well, I guess my main complaint is why 10 days before we owe the tax? Why not have a meeting and tell us that we're going to be charged for it?
that's not our usual practice to call a meeting requirements of the code under, I think it's 468 of the code for maintenance work within the drainage district. We passed this last week of May. It was published in the paper. The discussion was on the website. I don't control when they send out the tax statement.
The tax statements, not to pass this on to somebody else. Mike, you want to talk about how the tax statements got out late?
They got out late, certainly.
I'm not there with you, Mark.
Mike Clayton, treasurer. Tax statements were, I don't even know if I'd call them late, but they were later than maybe normal this year because we were waiting for the state to give us the commercial tax credit figures before we could run tax statements. And being the large county that we are, it takes about a week once we get certified from the auditor's office to actually run statements and get them mailed out.
Well, Mark, on this drainage ditch district, why am I being taxed on a parcel of ground that borders Ida Avenue and does not border Wolf Creek?
I have no idea. I didn't write the engineer's report who apportioned this. Just for the board's explanation, if you're not familiar, all of the land within each drainage district is taxed by acres and then by benefit factor. At the time that the districts were established, an engineer's report was done, and those factors, the acreage is fixed, but the factors were established at that point in time. Unless an additional study is done that would reevaluate the benefit, it would be the same as it's been taxed for before, but it is a much higher levy this time. And again, this is a 1 year. We haven't had any damage out there on the stream this year that needs to be reported, but that's where it's at.
Quick question, can we opt out and take care of our own problems?
The drainage district can dissolve. That takes a petition. There is a process for doing that. And that is entirely possible to do, but it doesn't get you out of the bill for this repair work.
No, this go around.
Mm-hmm.
This is a one-time bill?
Yes. Again, it's to pay for work that was done within the district last year. We don't know when the flood occurred, but trees from upstream came down, caught. Again, they cut a hole that was almost 300 feet in diameter on both sides of the creek. Caused failure of the bank. We had to go out and pick up the riprap that had protected that area of the bank. It was repaired, refilled, restored. Trees burned and buried. The contractor had a significant amount of backhoe time and bulldozer time out there in making the repairs to the work. This is the way they've been handled in the past. This one was a large bill. If we could get timely reporting of things like this, if we had been told early June this occurred, we could have at least submitted it to FEMA because they have repaired drainage district property in the past, and this is a drainage easement. But we have to know about it in time to file those reports.
I guess I'm because on my property, I'm protected. I mean, I put 638s in along each side of on the west side of the creek. I don't have any on the east side, but I can put some in there if I need to. Would that qualify me to be out?
I don't know that you
Or is
can
there a
be
qualification to get out of the district? I mean, this is ridiculous.
I don't know how to answer that question. It's something where we'd have to look at the code to see if individual properties can opt out.
If you and the folks in that drainage district would like to take it over, we'd be more than happy to let you.
How far does that drainage district go? Does that go clear to the beginning of Wolf Creek or what?
It's pretty, there's two districts within Wolf Creek. There's the upper Wolf Creek that covers D54 north, and I believe it's to the origination of the creek. And then there's the lower Wolf Creek that starts just south of D54 on the section line. The road doesn't run on the section line there, but it goes south of there and then continues on down to where it crosses the Monona County line.
I have talked to some people further north. They received no raises
So how that's split out, I can't.
There's one. There's the one that's by Ida Avenue, and there's another one, 200% higher.
The total number of acres
And
in
another
the
one.
district, according to the county's records, is 1,500 acres. On average, the cost to the landowners would have been about $34 an acre, on average. Now, it depends on how their benefit ratios lay out. I think the way they're calculated is the folks that are closest to the creek generally have a higher benefit than the folks that live farther away, because it's that lowland that drains first, therefore they get the immediate benefit. The people farther back would tend to have a lower factor.
I see.
That's just the quick and dirty analysis on how those go.
Well, you guys got any other questions?
Sure.
So I need to talk to the tax man about the one that's being taxed on Ida Avenue, or you?
I don't partition that, so it would have to be somebody else. There has not been.
County assessor?
I don't think this comes through the assessor, frankly. We'd have to dig back into the reports. I'm betting that it was probably Jack Virtue or somebody along that generation of engineer who did this. I want to say this one was established in 1915 or 1923. I don't know if they've been reevaluated. Diane would know the last time that the drainage acreages were looked at. And this is something where if the board deemed, I believe, you can have it reevaluated. Again, it won't help this time, but it would help in the future.
And there's also a cost to that.
Yes, the cost of having an engineer do that work would be
Against the district?
against the district, yes.
Yes, sir.
Martin Heckmanville, Iowa. I was wanting to know, Mark, how did you decide which tree jam to fix?
We're entirely complaint-based.
Okay, so my complaint from 3 years ago that you have not addressed at all, the two complaints, which is a mile north of this, that has nothing done, that every year it takes part of our crops out, and you said, if there's money available, I will get back to you, Marty, and I've never been talked to. Your name is Martin Heck. One of the complaints is on a landlord, out-of-state landlord. She asked me to speak to it. It's which is on the north end of, it'd be on the south end of Rick's ground, the north end of Section 13, excuse me, the south end of Section 13. A tree jam have now taken as many as 24 rows on the side of the creek out. On Dad's south end of this farm, it is in there. I asked you 3 years ago to come look at it and 2 years ago to come look at it, and you said there's no money to be had. It's a personal deal. Then you go ahead and do something like this and just tax the people for it.
I'll have to look into it. I'm sorry, Martin, I don't recall that one, so.
So what am I supposed to say?
We'll come up and look at it, and if it needs it, I guess we'll have to get repairs done.
But why was this prioritized is what I'd like to know. At this kind of money. Why wasn't it addressed? If you're going to spend this kind of money, which I'm not saying it wasn't that kind of money, but it shouldn't have been addressed to the farmers. The way I understand it, there's 7 farmers involved, 7 landowners involved that gets to pay this bill. And when you're talking one of over an $8,000 bill for one man, that's... Pardon?
There's more than 7 in that district, isn't there? I'd have to look. Yeah, I fielded a number of calls already from others. I'm not sure how many are in the district.
Okay.
Well, we're operating here with no information.
Absolutely.
Okay, can we get the names of you 5 gentlemen and get into it and get the info back to you?
So I guess my question is, all these years that this money's been drawed from this district, what have they done up to this point? This is the first time it's been accessed a levy above.
We paid for $15,000 for damage repair out of the balance that was accrued for the Upper Wolf Creek.
Okay, out of the balance that I was told that wasn't there. There was nothing there to help, Marty.
And I got to look back in my records to see. Honestly, I don't remember.
We'll get back to you. Karen, can you get their names and addresses and phone numbers? only need one name? No. Okay. I agree.
Because I don't know who all got assessed, but I know there's over $25,000 sitting right here that got assessed.
Okay, but
$50,000 bill.
what I'm saying is Mark needs to collect some information to be able to talk to you. Okay, need approval of agenda for today.
I have a couple of things to bring up. Just to inform the board is that the city of Bronson, there was a mistake in I don't know if you got any calls on that, but there was a mistake in the tax statements that went out. The city treasurer there made an error in the way that the budget forms were submitted, and their levy more than doubled. So they got a huge increase in their tax bills. And so we're going to send out, because we contacted the state, and they're allowing us to send out corrected tax statements because it would be illegal for them to levy for revenue purpose bonds, which is what happened. So they're going to get a corrected statement.
So it's going to get fixed.
Yes, it is going to get fixed, in case you get questions on that. We got several people who were very concerned about it. The other thing is that I learned, I haven't had an opportunity to speak with the county attorney's office, but it appears that today at the mental health meeting, 3 supervisors were at that meeting. I don't believe, Mr. Clausen says that he attended that as a private citizen. I don't believe that you can say you're a private citizen and attend those meetings. So I'll check with the county attorney's office, but I always check with I already looked at I have a public information board. I'm going to see if I can get an advisory opinion or file a complaint. But that caused me concern when that took place.
Okay.
In regards to that, Mr. Clausen did notify our office prior to going to the meeting, asking whether it would be appropriate or not. And the conclusion that we reached is that if they're not discussing Woodbury County business, it's regional business, if Mr. Clausen didn't plan to speak to any matter, he could attend the meeting. Probably a best practice sort of thing would be if we know that there's going to be 3 supervisors at that meeting, then it should just go out as an agenda, and then there wouldn't be any question at all.
That's what I expressed.
Okay, need approval of agenda for today.
Move approval of the agenda dated August 25th, 2015.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Need approval of the minutes for August 18th, 2015.
Move approval of the minutes dated August 18th, 2015.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Discussion and approval of claims.
Move approval of the claims.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Need approval of the Roger Brooks Community Assessment Program for the city of Sioux City for the amount of $5,000 as presented last week.
Mr. Chairman, I'm a little uncomfortable that we're paying the same amount as the city of Sioux City, and yet it's a city study. I can see us contributing to it, but 5,000 just seems a little much.
So your amount is?
I could go for 2,500.
Is that a motion?
Works for me.
Need a second? Okay. For lack of a second, need a motion on an amount?
I'd move approval of the $5,000 to fund the Roger Brooks Community Assessment Program.
Need a second? I'll second it.
Well, I do support and wish Sioux City the best in their assessment program. I will vote no because Woodbury County already suffers from the stigma of being Sioux City-centric,
And this isn't a countywide study. It's just for City of Sioux City. So again, I have all the confidence they'll get the funding today or at another point, but I think if Woodbury County dollars should be reserved for countywide ventures.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Oh, I just want to make one statement. Just to show or tell why I'm wanting my support, I think one of the things that was deemed necessary in the study is that they will be looking at areas outside of Sioux City. Downtown Partners, the Siouxland Initiative, the Chamber, and the City of Sioux City will be equally contributing. And I think in city-county cooperation, we're talking about exceeding that amount and what we'll be giving possibly to each of the cities, 14 cities within our county outside of Sioux City. And so I think that this would be a good investment, and recognizing that a lot of our rural residents work in Sioux City and there's an economic development outcome. Thank you.
Anyone else? Pat?
Clausen? Aye. Or no, I'm sorry. I was daydreaming. Smith?
Aye.
Taylor?
Aye.
Ung?
Nay.
Monson?
Aye. Human Resources, Ed. Memorandum of Personnel Transaction, need a motion?
Move approval.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. All right. Building Services.
Got board administration.
Oh, did I miss something? Oh, I missed a whole bunch. Board Administration approval resolution for a tax suspension for JK. Need a motion?
Move approval.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Discussion and action approving the acceptance of the low bid received by the City of Sioux City from Omaha Paper Company Incorporated, Dennis Butler.
Okay, through the joint meetings we have had with the finance department and other officials over in City Hall, Mark and I have been going to those once a month. This is a direct result of that meetings together. We did bid together the 8.5 by 11 letter size white paper for all of our county departments, plus DHS, plus District Health, and basically any agency that's affiliated with Woodbury County. Okay, when we did this, they did bid it out. It did come back on the, I did include all the bids that were submitted on a little form Excel sheet I did. You can see their low bid per 1,000 sheets was $4.97, ranged all the way up to $6.30. So even though it's an out-of-town agency or business, the low bid, that's why we bid it out, to get the lowest price we can. The city uses about 3 million sheets. We use about 2.3 million. And the internal workings of it, we worked out. I've talked to other departments. They're all in favor of saving money. Overall, I believe it saves about $7,400.61. So I'd like to recommend that we do accept the bid along with the city. We'll work with the city, get the internal part, delivery, everything like that through the process.
So you'll be carrying reams of paper to...
No. My good friend back here, Kenny, will probably help it to get to the various departments when it's under 10 pieces. But if it's 10 cases or more, they deliver right to the place. If it's out to the engineer's office, conservation, they will deliver it there. It's delivered on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You notify him one day ahead, he'll be here the next day. So we'll have a little storeroom. Hopefully you can find a little space. We can put 30, 40 cases there, and that's what we'll do is get it to them. Or they can pick it up when they come in for stuff.
Yep. Need a motion.
I was going to say, I know this is a relatively, it's not a small item, but it's an item that all the elected officials agree to cooperate on, so I'll move to approve on that alone.
I'll second.
Need a motion?
You got it.
You have it. Moved and seconded.
Oh, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. All right, I was already looking at the next one.
Okay.
Wait a minute, on this one, I move we establish the internal fund in the amount of $11,431 for 2.3 2.3 million sheets of paper.
Second.
Okay, to explain this real quick, and I won't take much time here, I did figure out a way to do this through internal service fund. We do not budget internal service funds because those funds are actually budgeted within the individual departments. I checked with our auditors. They approved what I had proposed. We set up an internal service fund. We run it in a red, but on your financial sheets, it'll shows an asset because we'll have the paper, a liability with the debt. And as people pick up their reams or box cartons of paper, we'll charge back to the account or the department. They'll write a check and we'll put it in this internal service. For a while, it'll be in the red. But it was approved by our auditors.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Mr. Chair?
And I'd just like to thank the elected officials because they're autonomous. They can do whatever they want, but they are working with us. And this is
Oh, and next comes garbage.
yeah, garbage is our next one.
Yes.
I would like unanimous consent to revisit the approval of the Roger Brooks Community Assessment Program for the purpose of designating local option sales tax be the funding stream.
For which one?
For the Roger Brooks Community Assessment Program. And I was told that that is appropriate to do since it's the same meeting and it has an economic development impact.
Right, we do have 200,000 unallocated at this moment, so we use 5,000 at 200,000 to allocate it to that.
And just for comments, I respect that my colleagues on the opposite end physically of the table maybe wanted a lesser amount or no amount, but I think if the county is investing, we have a funding stream whereby it makes sense for economic development to dedicate it from those purposes. So I would ask that just the question dedicated to local option sales tax be the funding stream, and that's my motion for the funding of the monies allocated to this program.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Kenny, you're up.
Kenny Schmitz, Building Services. In your informational packets, you received some information on the LEC entrance repair costs. There was an option 1 and an option 2. The board asked for some breakout costs, and those are outlined. Informational only, and we hope to get some competitive bids back through the RML bidding process on that.
Need a motion?
Dennis is raising his hand.
I just have one question here. Up here, they add 100% for a small congested area, part of the demolition, 1,500. Then down at the bottom, you'll see they have small confined space, 10,195. Is there any duplication there? Would be a question, Kenny could go back to the architects and find out if there is a duplication.
I will check with RML on that. I don't believe that there is, but I'll ask them to be a little more specific and explain that. Thanks, Dennis.
Now, you want a motion to bid option 1?
No, this is just information.
Yes. RML will actually already will be going out and seeking bids for option number 1, yes.
Need a motion for option 1?
Wasn't that approved last week?
It was.
And this is just informational?
This is just informational.
Oh,
We don't
okay.
need a motion.
We don't need a motion.
We don't need a motion.
You just want to know how much it's going to cost.
Okay.
Those were just breakout costs.
You bring it back next week?
I can, yes.
I have a suspicion they're getting anxious to get going.
They are.
Yeah.
We are.
All right, B.
B, this is a service agreement with Train. It's for chillers at the courthouse and the Trosper Hoyt buildings. This is a HVAC servicing contract. It's renewing a contract that expired in April of 2014. I asked Train to provide pricing on that. I rejected their first couple of offers, and I'm now asking for board approval for $4,565 for both of those buildings.
Need a motion?
That's an annual fee, right?
Yes, it is.
And you're asking for 1 year?
That is for 1 year.
Move it.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Will that need to be renewed each year then? And
It
you'll
will.
negotiate with Train to reject their first and second offers?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Item C.
Item C is also for the LEC. We think it's prudent that we ask to do some soil testing and sampling. What you have before you is a certified testing services contract to do that soil sampling and testing. What this will do is allow us to know whether our soil is good up front, or if we're going to run into some problems that might be unexpected. And RML Architects has cautioned that we probably should do this testing, and I would agree with them. So I'm asking for board approval for $2,044 to approve the soil testing.
Need a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Mark Nair, Woodbury County Engineer. First item I have for today is consideration of approval with a contract for Johnson Propane for various county buildings for this fiscal year.
And this was bid.
This was bid out on August 11th. It was awarded to Johnson Propane with a low bid. It was roughly half the price we paid last year for propane.
Wow.
And the board awarded at the bid opening.
Need a motion?
Move to approve at 63 cents per gallon.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Consideration and approval of plans for project number RCXCO97130.
This is our second RISE project. This is to reconstruct the pavement on Port Neal Circle from Port Neal Road south or west and south to the entrance of Mid-American Energy and the AGP plant. Plans are currently being reviewed or being given final review by DOT. We're anticipating a late September letting on this project.
Need a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, last one.
Last item today is to consider a resolution to accept CF Industries Drive into the secondary road system. The county constructed this road last year. We have it gravel surfaced right now. We approved plans for paving of it. It is a county road up to the property line of CF Industries, but we have not officially accepted it into the system. I recommend that the board approve the road and accept it into the secondary road system.
Need a motion?
Move it.
Second? Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay.
That's all I have for today.
Thank you, sir. Mark.
Are you a doctor?
My dad is.
Okay, I'll forgive you.
Okay.
Wouldn't even approve of that signature.
Reports. Anyone?
Siouxland District Health, they didn't have a regular August meeting, but they will on Wednesday, September 2nd. One of Siouxland District Health's initiatives that they're looking at is a reconfiguration and reconstruction of their building space that they pay rent to the county for. And I realize that Chairman Munson and Supervisor Young have had tours, and he's working to schedule tours with the other supervisors. I looked at the space today, and they're looking at a $477,000 cost to have a single intake system, as well as like waiting areas, as well as a checkout system. And so we'll need to look at that. I know that we had initially looked at $300,000 in the CIP for that building, but it's $477,000 at this point, and I understand what they're trying to do. I think in doing due diligence, they are looking at some grant funding and some other sources, but at some point they'll want a response from the board. I know Kenny Schmitz, our building superintendent, was able to tour there as well, and so in working toward that, I know they'll want some direction from this board before too long. They also have a community health needs assessment meeting, which is the first time that they've done this, which I think is pretty cool. They're bringing in Unity Point, St. Luke's, Mercy Medical, and Dakota Dunes to complete a community health needs assessment. That's going to be Thursday from 11:30 to 1, and they're going to see how those different entities can combine their work. And finally, at our meeting, we're going to discuss the handbook and residency requirements, whether their employees need to be residents of Woodbury County. Our assistant county attorney has said that nothing within Iowa code was found to say that that's the case, and so we're losing out on some potential. So I'll recommend that we remove that from the handbook.
Anyone else?
Mr. Munson and I attended the Sioux Rivers Governance Board meeting before this meeting and presented on behalf of the Woodbury Board our resolution that we passed last week. I realize there's some disagreement on this board, so I'm not sharing the information and with the intent to open up old wounds, but I just think we should update each other. I checked with Mark Munson on my interpretation of what I heard, and he heard the same thing, so correct me if I'm wrong, but we basically heard from the Governance Board Chair that next month on the 22nd, corrections to the 2080 will be on the agenda. We also heard separately from the chair that next month it will not be on the agenda, and we also heard from the chair that next month, prior to it being on the agenda, they want the opinions back from the Plymouth, Sioux, and Woodbury County Attorney's offices. Our attorney's office was represented there by Mr. Woodman, who's in process of reaching out to those two other county attorneys, as well as the Attorney General's office for an opinion he expects back in September. The Plymouth County attorney was in attendance and spoke to the issue, but his comments were more about just how to get along rather than the legality. He was unwilling to commit to providing an opinion, and the Sioux County attorney, who is the representative for the region, also has not provided an opinion, and the last time that the Woodbury County attorney's offices reached out there didn't really get a conclusive response. So if three county attorneys need to come back with an opinion and only one of them is given an opinion, we're in kind of a conundrum. So I don't know what exactly to report back as far as conclusion to this, but we did have an open discussion. Fortunately, it was more civil than the emails that we received last week, and most we can do is just ask the legal minds to figure it out. Our concern, as always, was that the technical text of the document does give the governing board the certifying and taxing authority, and we wouldn't want at any time in the future for a tax to be deemed improperly levied if it was brought up as a concern by a citizen who was taxed by the region rather than the counties. But again, we did have consensus that the county boards do levy. There was just a disagreement on whether or not we're going to fix it.
Just to address one part of that, Matt, I do believe that the other attorney's offices and I will be able to get together and at least discuss discuss the issue. I have exchanged emails with Tom from Sioux County in the last couple days, so it's not that I haven't heard back from him recently. So, I'm not sure that we'll arrive at the same conclusion, but I know that those discussions will take place. Whether we'll have something in a final form by next month's meeting, I'm not sure. I think part of what I heard up there was that, and even from Shane Walter, was an agreement that we're going to fix this the next time that there's an amendment to the 28E, but there's not a sense of urgency on the board up there to do it right now as a standalone agreement or as a standalone amendment. And that's kind of, something that I can discuss with the other attorneys, what is the repercussion if we don't do it right now versus waiting until later. But I think that we're kind of all on the same page as far as there's some concerns about the language as it currently stands.
Thank you.
Well, I attended that meeting as a citizen, not as a supervisor. And I think it was well put when they said it's a work in progress. The region is, the 28E is a work in progress as well. And there are other amendments, and this was one of them that just has not reached that stage yet where it's going to be offered. But I think in the future, the 28E is going to be amended probably with a number of different addendums.
I was very puzzled by one of the statements. The Plymouth County Attorney asked a question of the governance board if there was enough votes right now to amend the 28E in accordance with our resolution, and the chair said no. There are not enough votes, and I also received that in the email from him, but yet we're going to schedule it potentially next month or in the future for passage, so it's kind of befuddling to hear that there are not enough votes to pass it this meeting, but next meeting they plan to pass it. Just an observation.
Okay, any other meetings?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to comment that I think Mr. Clausen just made my point that you can't attend a meeting as a private citizen and then come back here and talk about an opinion that you were formed as a result of being at that meeting. Thank you.
I appreciate your comment, Pat. I disagree with you 100%, but that's where that stays.
I have an idea in case anybody cares or would like to jump on board with it. If the Veterans Affairs, we have new members, and for the first time we have a 5-member commission, I'd like to see if we would all be amenable if they came at a time certain at 5 o'clock and we had coffee and cookies for them and welcome them and they introduce themselves. Would anybody object to that? I think it'd be good to see who we have now on that board. And
which board?
The Veterans Affairs.
Oh, great idea.
Yeah, as long as you're buying the cookies. And
I plan to, or I will put on my apron and make them.
You'll make them?
Wait a minute.
I will.
Wait a minute.
All right, I'll buy them, Larry. All right.
I have one more item. I was assigned jury duty for next Tuesday, so I'm told that it probably won't conflict, but there's still a chance that it could. If I am assigned jury duty, for sure, I might be a little late, but that is why.
You're in good company with Donald Trump.
What?
He had to go to jury duty last week. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
See everybody in
recess
Sergeant
or
Bluff.
is it adjourn or a recess?
It's a separate meeting.
Separate meeting?
I know you've been getting a lot of calls about this
I
area,
have.
so
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you what our traffic count map shows.
Okay.
This is the traffic count map for those roads that you've been getting calls about.
Well, you're not
and call the